All right, dress rehearsal recap starting with Sunday night. Arizona didn't do much on offense, but all the Dallas turnovers, 8 to be exact, and an easy win for Arizona. Although they're saying the right things about how much they love this defense and what they're running there, and Peterson had the pick six as well. But Rosen didn't get in there. Bradford was okay, but it was the 14 points early with the pick six and the special teams touchdown.
Sure, it was a pretty sleepy game, no question about it. And obviously no Dak, no Zeke, 3 starting offensive linemen sitting for Dallas. That offensive line may not be healthy for week 1. They're certainly not going to be in great form in week 1. And that's a concern considering the backup QB situation for Dallas. Cooper Rush, he's been pretty ugly. 2 picks, obviously, against Arizona. In his last 12 drives, the offense has gained a grand total of 153 yards. They haven't scored a point. That's certainly a concern for Dallas, given the problems on the OL.
Sunday afternoon, Josh Allen didn't play well, 34 yards on 6 of 12 passing. He was sacked 5 times. The offensive line was terrible. I think Peterman's going to win that job. You can't throw Allen in there, and all those people who bet the Bills win total under, if they got 7.5 or 7, are loving life. Bengals get the win. A Ross sighting, caught a touchdown. Dalton gets the standing ovation before the game. Going to be a long year for the Bills.
Yeah, look, even though I didn't see any 7.5s out there, or the prevailing number for Buffalo was 6.5 for most of the offseason. That number's down as low as 5.5 in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Someone got a 7. Hey, good for them. I got a 6.5 under 6.5 in my pocket, and I'm fairly comfortable with that wager. Now, look, everyone's saying Josh Allen stunk. Look at Nathan Peterman. Josh Allen stunk. Look at Nathan Peterman. Let's not forget, Josh Allen faced the first stringers. Nathan Peterman faced the backups. Peterman's supposed to look better. That being said, I think he won the job as the starting quarterback for the Buffalo Bills in week 1, coming up in 2 weeks.
How about what the Jags defense did again? Now, I know Dan Quinn doesn't care, but the Falcons couldn't move the ball. Now, they won't play anybody Thursday, and they're going to get ready for the Eagles, and it might be Foles and not Wentz, as that's a high total as well. Remember, Atlanta, the defense was terrific last year. The offense struggled, and they haven't done much in the preseason. They struggled. Jacksonville gets the win. Bortles threw a couple picks, and I didn't see much of the Colts 49ers game.
No, look, Blake Bortles was ugly. Blake Bortles was ugly for extended stretches last year. 2 interceptions that were dicey. And, of course, let's not forget the injury to wide receiver Marquise Lee. Have not heard an update on that, but that's their number 1 wideout. Now you have a dicey quarterback and a dicey offensive line and an issue at wide receiver. That's a big injury for Jacksonville. And Bortles looks every bit as lousy this year in the preseason he did for much of last season. As for San Fran, Andy, the 49ers are a work in progress. I'll just put it this way. They're struggling in the red zone. They struggled with continuity. And when you talk about Kyle Shanahan's offense, it is a complex offense. It will take time. It is taking time. San Fran, the early love for the 49ers in the betting markets, we're not seeing that anymore. And that week 1 line against Minnesota is getting steamed up in favor of the Vikings.
That's surprising because the Vikings have had their issues, and that's a work in progress with Shermer out and a new quarterback in. Steelers played the first string defense. They shut down Tennessee and got the win there. And as I mentioned, McVay said everybody, although the Rams still beat the Texans.
Yeah, the Steelers didn't allow Tennessee to cross midfield in their first 7 drives. 6 sacks for Pittsburgh in that ball game. Certainly a good sign. There's a lot. One thing that was very clear as I've been reading and as I was talking to people all weekend, there's a very wide range of opinion about the Pittsburgh Steelers, particularly on defense this season. Some legitimately sharp people think the Steelers have an A+ level defense. Others think their defense is more like a C. We'll have to see. They look real good on Sunday. And as for, the Texans, look, Deshaun Watson, nothing going on. But that offensive line for Houston is very much a problem. As for the Rams, 3 preseason games, we haven't seen the starters. Nothing. Sean McVay really keeping L.A. healthy. Says, we'll do it in practice. We're not worried about doing it in the games. McVay's approach to the preseason could be the death of the preseason when we talk about what the long-term implications of the Rams sitting everyone might be if LA comes out and wins in September.
And here was your 8.5-point move as the Bears sat everybody and Kansas City played the starters, but they lost 27-20. Nagy said, what's another 24, 25 plays? No Trubisky. Daniel played well as the Bears win that game. And the Broncos looked terrific. I mean, they came out on fire and ran out the Redskins in the first half on the road.
Sure. Let's talk about, Nagy saying, all right, I'm going to sit everyone. I'm going to sit Trubisky and all that money coming in. But for Kansas City, we've seen 3 preseason games now. Their defense hasn't stopped anybody. It's looked really ugly. 3 backup quarterbacks in 3 games have led touchdown drives against the starting defense. And of course, Chase Daniel didn't stop at 1 in that game. He guided 4 scoring drives against that Kansas City defense that is clearly problematic. And hey, we had an Adrian Peterson sighting for a Redskins team that has no running backs. 11 rushes, 56 yards.
How about the Battle of New York, Jets and Giants? I imagine Darnold will start week 1. Didn't lose the job. They're trying to trade Bridgewater. McCown, I don't think, has got in there at all. And Eli was 17 of 23. Ingram did suffer a concussion in the Giants win.
Yeah, I mean, Darnold started off with a nice, solid TD drive in the first drive, but 5 of his next series ends up going 3 and outs. Giants, I mean, Eli, 17 of 23 for $188. They didn't score a touchdown in any of Manning's 3 quarters of action this preseason. Of course, they didn't have OBJ. They didn't have Saquon Barkley. Only played 6 snaps in August. They didn't have Evan Ingram. We'll see if the Giants' offense performs better with those 3. One would think they perform better with those 3 guys in the field. But when it comes to preseason snaps, Giants' skill position talent hasn't had a lot of time to work with Eli Manning.
Belichick finally played an under. 8 straight overs in the preseason came to an end. Carolina won in that game. And then the Friday night, which opened, I think, 3, got up to 7, back down to 5.5, settled at 5. Oakland won in a sleep inducer, 13-6 at home against the Packers.
Oh, my God, that was about as ugly a game as you will ever see. The Packers playing without either tackle. The starting tackles, David Bakhtiari and Brian Bulaga, both sat, or the rest of the offensive line. The backup tackle, Kyle Murphy, got lit up in that ball game. And, I mean, it was one of those games where the offensive line play was so bad, you really couldn't get a sense of anything that Brent Hundley or Deshaun Kaiser were battling for the backup QB job. You got no sense of what those 2 guys are capable of doing. That one was ugly from both angles. It wasn't like Oakland was particularly good. Connor Cook had a really rough time behind Derek Carr. 6 of 15, 72 yards, a 27.6 QB rating. Not pretty for Connor Cook, who, let's put it this way, he won't cost me money again. And if you backed him, Raiders covered in that ballgame, but Cook's been pretty rough.
How about John Gruden? I don't know if the backup quarterback's on the roster. Jesus.
Like the show? Help us keep the lights on. Please make sure to comment, share, and subscribe to all the Sportsbook Review videos. Thanks so much. Best of luck. Enjoy the game.